Hi, hey, hello. It's me, Rio, and I want to spend today talking about an issue that I've been noticing in the latest blockbuster, the latest Moneybag movie, show, game, fucking crossword puzzle. What I'm trying to get at is that we have lost the touch of what it means to be human, and that is scary. So, while I'm talking about this, I want to use some examples. So, let me just awkwardly get my legs into position here. Give me a minute. So, I'm going to be working on Chapter 3, page 4 of EI while I'm talking, because this expression right here is kind of whoa. Sorry. This expression right here is what is going on? Why aren't you working? Oh, wrong tool. Oh, that's right. I'm inside a layer. Professional. This expression right here is giving me everything I need to know about the state of storytelling in the industry as of late. So, as an example, Pokémon ZA. I am not a big Pokemon fan. I've dabbled in the series. I've played a few games, never necessarily finished them, but it's charming. I understand why it has the fan base that it does. It's got a really pretty graphics. You know, there's some cute stories here and there. There's the whole aspect of catching, releasing, evolving, and I find that same pleasure through Shin Megami Tensei. So I understand the, love for Pokemon, but I see it through a different lens. Now, the issue that I have primarily with, I'd only say the newer generations, and even then, keep in mind, I'm speaking from a very distant point of view because my girlfriend is the one who adores Pokemon because she hardcore loves the game. Now, what I see to be an issue is the weird disconnect of your the NPCs, you, the world. It just all feels flat. Now, I don't want this to be a Pokemon rant because I'm not here to rant. I don't want to rant, but I do want to point out some feelings that I've been having. I probably shouldn't even be working because I want to say that I multitask, like I can multitask, but I really can't, especially when I talk about something I care about. So I'm just going to use these panels kind of like as a frame of reference. So this kind of is what I feel when I see really bad dialogue, because it's taken me years to go through many different evolutions as a writer to understanding what sounds natural when someone speaks. And the easiest trick is just speak out the lines. Do they sound right? And let me just get a whole new page at this point, because this is probably going to be way better for me than it is if I had just been doing it on the page. So let me get a pen that really has no... Perfect. Okay. So if you've got dialogue and that dialogue is bare, it's gonna leave your readers feeling rather freaking empty, because then there's nothing going in. What am I doing? There's nothing going in, so then there's nothing coming out. I don't know if I can draw these, but so for example, if you've got these really pretty streets, right, with these nice foliages, and it's French, I think it's like French aesthetic, which is really pretty, and the windows and the streets and all the characters are here walking around with their weird haircuts, and then the girl protagonist with her weird floof, and she's all cool and all, but she's also just kind of thrown into these weird dynamics, and she's like, I just got here, bro. Why are you guys putting me on these weird side quests? I'm not a detective. I'm not some a hardcore like trainer. At least I think I'm not. I just got here. And then your friend here is just like, I got you for an ad. You owe me your life, bro. So it just feels like they're throwing the character around, trying to fit them into situations that really don't make sense to the average person. Imagine if you just got off of this train station and you just walk to the city. You know, you're all happy, grand, and you've got your bag, and this guy's like, "Hey, wait up a minute. I would like to use you for my ad read about this hotel that I'm trying to promote." And you're like, "Oh, okay. Damn, that sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna be a part of a commercial, sure. Why not?" And then your buddy here is like, "Yeah, you're gonna be part of the commercial, alright. And then you're gonna move in with me, and then you're never gonna leave because I'm gonna bring you into all sorts of adventures that you have no consent to." And I say that in the most loving way possible. Now, the problem is that when you try to fit in all of these different ideas, which is not a bad thing. We want our stories to be very diversified. That's what gives it life. And that's what helps our little tree friend to sprout because its roots have been fed and its water. And I don't know what I'm doing, but the imagery is there, so shut up. And the problem that I see with fitting all of these ideas into one space is that when are you giving it time to grow? Because silence is a very important part of storytelling. And this is something that a mentor of mine said back in college, where the intimacy that you see for a character when they're alone and there's nobody around is that kind of intimacy that you would really like to see on screen. Because, you know, we have moments ourselves of when we're just kind of like down in the dumps. Sometimes we don't want to be bothered. And we're like, man, life kind of sucks. And, you know, it's a sad kind of feeling to have, but it's also a part of life. We're not always going to have the best times. We're not always going to see what we want to see. But the choices we make based on our predicament is really what matters. Now, when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of TV, and, you know, obviously things change, so I don't watch it anymore. But what I have noticed is that the kind of quality has gone downhill. And it's... So actually, you know what, let me just kind of rephrase myself. So I enjoy things that go downhill. I am a terrible glutton for really shitty stories, and I have been ever since I was a kid. Now, the best way that I can explain it is that I loved cringe because I loved when it is just so bad that it's good, because I just love feeling this kind of when it's painful, but in such a good way. It's like reading angst, and there's that bittersweet ending where you get your happy ending, but it's not in the way you want. It's kind of the type of storytelling that I really liked, where I don't get the payoff I want because that's not how life works. But you can attract the correct kind of endings based on your choices, because every choice kind of acts like a butterfly effect, and everything in life is a butterfly effect. Because let's not forget that energy itself, you know, moves through us. We are energy and we are electricity. Everything that exists is also that. So when we live in harmony with the thing that keeps on giving, then we will also receive, but we have to be in alignment. Now, the problem is that when you cut this out, wrong tool. The problem is that when you don't follow your path, either willingly or unknowingly, it can create some distress and dissonance because your butterfly has lost its ability to fly. When it no longer has its support system, it will just disintegrate until it no longer knows itself, because it can no longer access the thing that made it be itself. Now, this is very different for everybody because everybody is different. There is not one person who is an identical replica. Just as we have different fingerprints, so are people. It's just, it goes from it's like a microcosm to a macrocosm, where things just get bigger and bigger, but the identities are intertwined, but still significantly different enough to not be the same. And that is something that I feel gets lost a lot, where we have too much sameness and not enough not enough fluctuation between the drama, the characters. Oh my god, sometimes even the design, they kind of look a little rough. But in the case of ZA, it feels like what it reminds me of. Like, it puts me back into an era of when I used to read fan fiction, and I had developed my taste of very specific writing, where it's like, if you already do not start the first few words sounding like you're setting up a scene, if you sound too casual, I click off. But that does not work the same when it comes to stories, or like watching a movie, or like playing a game. I love them when they're terrible. I really, really love terrible movies, terrible games, because that's actually how I learned how to write. If I'm being very direct, watching terrible things and reading terrible things helped me develop into a better person, because I knew what not to do. So, as an example, when you go to, let's say you're going to Hollywood and you want to like create this like incredible I drew a book. If you want to create like this incredible, I don't know why you go to Hollywood, but let's say you are writing this grade A book, like this is going to go gold, this is the standard of gold edition Hollywood, and your name is on it. But during the process of making this, they just kept giving you money just to keep writing. And maybe you're somebody that comes from good talent, maybe you're somebody that has an idea, maybe you're somebody that doesn't. Let's take the case of The Room, the most famous bad, it's so good movie that ever existed. I love this movie, but I cannot sit through the entire film. I can only watch the highlights of it because it's so damn bad. But that movie taught me a lot about how not to write, how people do not behave, what looks weird, what doesn't feel right. So it actually enhanced my intuition on what felt good. It helped me create what I would like to call is the art of rhythm in storytelling. So when you're writing, when you're speaking, when you're drawing, and even through, I have this on the tip of my tongue, and I feel like they misspelled this somehow, I'm sorry, but and with logos and with titles, there is a rhythm to it all, and that, I feel, is the foundation of life, is sound, rhythm, harmony. Even light works in a rhythm for it to create patterns. So when you're naming something, you want it to sound pleasant to the ear. You don't want it to give you this weird effect unless that's what you're going for. I'm not going to bring up actually, you know what? Let me bring up Pokémon ZA, because this one, the group's name is MZ. Now, it stands for Mega Evolution and Hotel Z, because everything has a letter. As these words have letters, I understand, but they tend to name things after acronyms, which is not bad, my characters in EEI, Shay and Ace, their full names are acronyms. I don't have a problem with it. The problem I have with this is that this feels lazy. So, first off, this should kind of be MEZ, but is the Hotel 8, they're kind of just disregarding the hotel part of it. They're just giving it the last name of Z. So then it should be Mez or Mez. And then the other districts, like, they also have letters. The entire concept of ZA is that you're going from rank Z over to A, and it's called the ZA Royale. And is it Royale? I think so. And everybody speaks as if they're an walking advertisement for this entire concept, which you would never find another person on the Super Bowl day talking to you as if you are a sponsorship for the Super Bowl. So the fact that, like, I understand Pokemon exist everywhere. This is kind of like the way people make their money in their lives. They use animals. But, like, if we look at today in our world where we also have animals, and our animals basically are our livestock and our livelihood because we are also animals using animals, it creates this weird dissonance between the world of Pokemon and the real world, because people don't behave like people. And, you know, it's a cartoon, that's fine. But even cartoons, and I hate saying even, because cartoons are the main reason I am the way I am, because I grew up on cartoons. It's a great way of telling stories by using animals, other people, creating representations of things that you will not go through. It's a medium for you to experience something. So when that gets abused, or it gets underlooked, or it gets overrated, or just mistreated, it's like that is our entire existence, is a story. That's how myths exist. That's how anything exists. Books are literally stories. Everything we've created, instruction manuals, the way we build things, the way we instruct you, that is in itself a story on telling you how to do things, how to do things. So when that gets misused, it means something to me. And I feel like this is not a hard thing to look at. Now, if you've got somebody that's like, oh yeah, the first example, Zach, who is the first rival of the ZA Royale, which also feels like a mouthful to say because nobody says ZA Royale like that. It feels like I'm taking too long to say that, because the ZA, it's not a like, that's fine. But ZA Royale, because of the Royale part, it sounds like I'm adding an extra pause to the word. Maybe it's just the way I speak, fine, but to me it sounds clunky, and that's the reason I'm even bringing that part up. So now, we've only gone through Zach before our internet crashed, so we're gonna play ZA again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what I've noticed, we hope that every rival has, like, their first letter is the rank that they are. We think that's kind of cute. At least I think that's kind of cute. It feels thematic. So things that are thematic, I really appreciate, because it feels like there's some kind of reason to why you made that decision. I really care about the reason and the intention behind why you put things where they are, because that's really the only, you know, there's an explanation. And I don't mean to say that everything needs to be explained either. I just mean, why did you, as the director, as the producer, as the writer, as the animator, as a storyteller, as a painter, as the artist, why did you do that? Because either you don't know, which is fine, because sometimes through us not knowing we create better art, or did you do that for a specific reason? Now, with Zach, his introduction was in his defeat. Actually, I'm just going to jump straight to his defeat. I think it was called, like, Les Eternal, Eternal. And he only says this after you defeat him, and he's like, that's why they call me Les Eternal. Neighbors. But they call him Les Eternal. Anyways, they call him this because... Okay, so I think I'm... Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. So they call him Les Eternal because he's lost over 100 times. And then in the following scene, when you meet with your Team MZ, they say, oh, they call him Les Eternal because blank, blank, blank. But it's like, this should have been established before we met the guy. We should have known that, oh, you're gonna fight Les Eternal. And because the word eternal is in there, you're like, oh shit, there's something, powerful about him. He's unexpected. And then when we meet him, he's like, yeah, my name's Zach. And then after you fight him, he's like, that's why they call me Les Eternal. So then the joke pays off, because this just feels like they added that in afterwards and they didn't think of the joke until like mid-writing, and they're like, oh, it'd be funny if we do this, but then they didn't retroactively go back into the story to make that payoff by bringing it up before the joke lands. There's an art. So that was one thing. Then the thing with your rival is that I don't know. Like, I don't know what to feel. Like, from what Alexis says, the rivals have been getting progressively nicer and more to be annoying little shits rather than the magnificent Gary Oaks Sigma that he was, where he's just like, yeah, Ash, fuck you. It's like, we're getting away from this kind of like era of the kind of because I'm just having fun at this point. So now that we're back, I think I'm just gonna end with a kind of reflection on what it feels like to value what we would consider good storytelling over what we would consider bad storytelling, because I feel like there is a purpose to both, and that is both good. So we know what is good, why it's good, who says it's good, and where we can find that good shit. Now with bad, we know what is bad, why it's bad, who makes it bad, and where we can avoid that bad shit. Now the point is that both of these teach. And this is something that gets overlooked when it comes to the bad category, because everybody is so overshadowed with the good that they just want to disregard and leave this to the night. Like they treat the good like it's the sun and the bad like the night. We don't want to see it. We only want to see the good. But the problem is that if you can learn from something, you should, even if it hurts. Because what hurts is an experience for you to learn. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to be in pain. Absolutely not. We all want what is good, what is best, what is happiest for all of us. But when bad things, or like when we watch bad things, when bad things happen, we have to learn to not repeat that. So that is why I enjoy learning a lot about bad films, bad TV shows, bad games, because not only do I get a kick out of how bad it is, but then I also get to learn of why that did not work out, why that was not the right call, what it could have been better by doing, what could have been improved by it. It is me making a mistake without having to actually do it. So by people avoiding this and just disregarding it and not trying to help it improve, we are literally just we are harming ourselves, because we should be embracing this in a different way. We're not saying that this is the same as good, but we're saying that this has value as well. So we need to kind of treat the animal and its body after the kill with the same respect. We use everything. Whatever cannot be used is disregarded, but it is created into something else. We create a new cycle by learning to not repeat the bad. And that's just basically the way life works. And if you take life like the same way you write a story, you'll be fine. But you really have to think about your purpose in this story, your story, because you are also a storyteller. You just don't maybe know about it yet, but your life is your own story, and your actions, your choices, your thoughts directly impact you into being the kind of character that you are unintentionally writing. So if you wake up tomorrow and realize, hey, I can write my own script, what would you choose? But you have to take into account that everything you do will be reflected back, because nothing goes forgotten. Remember in the beginning when I said that we are energy and that the butterfly effect exists? That will eventually, sure, through a lot of rigmaroles, will find its way back. Even though its roots start somewhere, there's only so far it can go before it reverts back to the original point. That's just the way things are. So if you want good things, feel good, feel happy, and try to create more of these really nice, happy memories for yourself. And sure, it's easy for me to say, but I've grown up in a good position where I did not have tragedies happen to me. So it was easier for me to cultivate this kind of mindset. But I've also had to do everything myself. So, finding my own place to work, my own growing myself, not even fixing, but like learning about myself, doing the very deep dive into me to learn about my story, so then I would know how it's best written. Because if I don't write it myself, who will? Who's gonna write my story? And that's just the way that I think a lot of things should be seen, or a lot of things should be seen in that perspective. And so I just want to leave off with a very big thank you for sticking through again and listening to this. But this is actually pretty fun, so I think I'm going to keep doing this rather than going between the next pages that I'm working on, because this felt a lot more fun. I just need to get maybe a different pen, just extend the screen a little bit more, maybe zoom into it. But I do like being able to use my hands and drawing at the same time, because it's fun. I love doing this. So I want to make more videos where I'm kind of just talking as I'm giving you visual examples. So stay tuned for the next video. I have no idea what I'll do. I just kind of do these as a whim. But we will be streaming tonight ZA, so I will be talking more about it. Alexis will have fun. We had a great, even though our internet crashed and we could not record the rest of it, I had such an insightful moment talking to her, learning about, more history about Pokemon, because I'm getting into it because of her. And I also want to, you know what? I'll leave it for the next video about changing yourself, rewriting your own story, because I think more people need to take control of themselves, and when they do that, they'll be happier. So I want to be able to kind of help you see yourself in a better light. So I'll post a link down for the Twitch stream channel that we'll be having later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do hope to see anybody there, but you take care of yourself and you have a good one. Bye.